Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to episode 2021, number 11 of the Mind and Muse Crafts podcast. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Caroline, and I am here to share with you another hour, let's say, packed with what I've been up to lately, specifically what I've been up to in the crafty part of my life. If you've been here for a while, you'll know that I live on the island of Puerto Rico in the Caribbean, and that I record these sessions of sharing crafty stuff with you every 2 weeks. I try, but sometimes life gets in the way and it just can't happen that way. So I'm back today with episode number 11 of this year. And in this podcast, I hope to share with you more of the standard sections of this podcast, which are normally walking the talk, where I share with you how I wear and when and how things look when I wear them out in my daily life. So as the first section of this podcast, I am sharing with you, first of all, crochet earrings. I have a thing. I have to accept. I have a thing as of late for crochet jewelry in general. I especially admire things that look lovely and that I have not made. But every once in a while, I'll look at so many lovely things that I'll want to make some up myself. But in this case, these lovely earrings were gifted to me by a viewer of this podcast. And I say that without actually knowing if she still watches my podcast. You know how this is. This is not eternal. We watch it for a while and then we move on to other things to watch. And sometimes we never go back to the things that we were watching before. And I know it happens to me, so I'm guessing that it happens to all of you. So I'm not so sure if Talia watches this podcast anymore, because specifically you may watch a podcast, but if you're not commenting, the host of that podcast kind of like loses touch with you. It's not easy to know who's watching you on YouTube anymore. The thing is that I don't know, but at one time, Thalia was a viewer of the podcast. She participated in a doily along that I hosted on this channel, and I was her partner to exchange with. So she sent me several beautiful doilies, and in addition, she sent me not one, but she sent me 4 pairs of crochet earrings. 4 pairs. Matches very well, I will say, however, with the blouse that I am wearing this morning. This is the feather and fan top, as you'll remember. I talked about this in the last podcast as a make that I was remaking because it wasn't fitting anymore. So I wasn't able to purchase any of the 2 colors that made up this top. So what I did was I purchased a 3rd color. I frogged it back until you split for the sleeves. And then what I tried to do was to use a larger hook than the one that I thought that I had used, of course, and also to add additional shells, following the instructions of the designer and allowing myself a little bit more space in the bust area and at the waist area, which is where I wanted it. So I'll put up here a little photo of how it looks with me standing up so that I don't have to use it now. It is now a three-tone blouse instead of a 2-tone blouse. And it has a scalloped edge, which I tried to make less scallopy. And since I had worn it for a while and I had washed it and crochet stretches, I also had to do an additional row around the collar so that it wouldn't fall off my shoulders, because that isn't a look that I like. And I also added the same, well, a similar band, at least a band in the same color around the edge of the sleeve, because I thought it just brought the whole design together. So I've worn it around and I decided to wear it today. This is my walking the talk section for you guys. Moving on then, what else do I have for you? I have a couple of crochet projects that have reached the end of the line. And a lot of them are jewelry. Most of them you've never seen before on this podcast, so it's not something that you have followed along with me, unfortunately. But since it's been almost a month or so, maybe even more, since my last podcast, episode 10, I filmed before I went to New Hampshire. So it's been a while. Things have happened. Let's see. What order do I want to go here? I'll continue on the earring topic here, and I'll share with you some of the earrings that I have made. Making jewelry, especially earrings, I don't know. That's just what has me motivated at the time being. Are very satisfying because of the fact that they're small projects. You can always carry around a little bit of thread, a small hook, and just create these accessories without much fuss. It all started because I wanted black crochet earrings. And I am laughing and you'll wonder, why is it funny? Well, it's funny because I didn't make any black crochet earrings. Because the black crochet thread that I had I didn't think it was appropriate for making earrings. When I make earrings, I like to use cotton. First and foremost, I like to use mercerized cotton. Because of the fact that mercerized cotton has been processed in such a way where it has like a cap, it has like a covering, a layer on it that makes it not waxy, but a bit stiffer than just normal cotton. In addition to being a bit stiffer, it also, what do I want to say here? It gives it a little bit of luster, a little bit of shine, and it avoids you having all these threads that stick out, which can happen sometimes with 100% cotton. In addition, 100% cotton a lot of times is very splitty, and you don't want splitty. Well, I don't want splitty for an earring, so I usually go with mercerized cotton. As of late, I've discovered the use of nylon threads, which I think are a great option for making jewelry. But I didn't have mercerized cotton. I didn't have nylon thread in black. So I had to give up on that. Well, I gave up on it until maybe the next podcast, where I actually ordered online because I couldn't find the gauge of thread that I wanted. I like to use Aunt Lydia's number 10. Now, it doesn't have to be Aunt Lydia's brand, but that's the one that I have most available here on the island in mercerized cotton. And I wanted to be number 10, which is lace weight, but not the finest threads that range of threads comes in. So I like the 10 for earrings. That's just personal preference. And with that number 10, I work it up with a 1.25 millimeter hook. Probably said that before. And in this occasion, what I did was I took a pair of hoops that I had been gifted a while back, and I don't use as much as I used to. Probably because I preferred the gold hoops. I don't know why. I guess because they shine more, and with my short hair and everything, you could see them more. But whatever the reason, I haven't worn them as much. They are 925 sterling silver, so I'm not going to throw them away. But what I did was crochet over the hoops. Here's my pair of earrings. You've seen this colorway before. It's a copper color. Oops. This is Omega Nylon Thread. Again, it's just that this is the one that I can find here on the island. I haven't been to a lot of stores lately, and the last time I went, they didn't have it in black. It's number 2, which is the one that I like. Also lace weight then. Worked up with a 1.25 millimeter hook. And so, it already comes with the lash, so I don't have to put earring findings on it when I'm finished. So I just crocheted around the hoop. This is not a design that is original to me. You can find it a lot of these designs on Pinterest and also on YouTube, even tutorials on YouTube. The thing about it is that the tutorials that I looked up, they did not say the size of the hoop. And that's really important information. Really important information, because depending on the size of the hoop, you might have more or less stitches around, and when you have more or less stitches around, that's obviously going to affect the stitches that you can work up on the inside. This is about, I would say 1 1/4, and maybe not even. But of course, they might have been pulled in as I crocheted around. I might have made the loop a bit smaller, but let's just go with 1 1/4. And I'm pretty sure the one that was in the tutorial online was probably about 2, because she could do a lot more things than I could do. I wanted to add beads to this, but I just didn't find that it was enough room and that I had small enough beads, well, large enough beads so that I could get my smallest hook into them, but small enough so that they wouldn't fill up the middle part of this too soon. So I didn't have that. So in the absence of that, I just did not put beads on this one. Let's see. Do I have here written down the name? Yes. The tutorial is simply called Crochet Easy Earrings, but the channel belongs to Claudette Crochet on YouTube. So I'll put a link down in the description box below in case you actually want to look that up. But like I say, there are many tutorials. You can see this a lot if you look on Pinterest. And as I say also, the larger the hoop, the more you can do with it. The designs are just beautiful depending on the size of the hoop. So with my small hoop, I was able to crochet to 35 single crochets around the outside, and then I turned, making sure my stitches were on the inside, and then I worked a round of half double crochets, and then I worked a round of half double crochets every other stitch, and then I worked a round of double crochets every other stitch. Those 3 rounds are imitation of the rounds that she was repeating in the tutorial that I mentioned. It's just that I didn't have the same number of stitches that she has, because she never mentions the number of stitches that she has, but I can tell by the way her final earring looks that mine was smaller. So, but I do like them a lot. Now I'm just going to make them in black. The thing about it is that I no longer have hoops. So if I wanted to make hoops that already are, that are already earrings in themselves, then I would need to purchase them. I could make the loop with wire. I have done that before, and then just hang them from an earring wire. I kind of like this look where the earring goes like towards the side, not like this to the front. But that was one. In my attempt to make my black earrings, which I never got, I do like that very much. The second pair I worked on was trying to add beads to my crochet. And I actually wanted beads along the inside. But again, these metal hoops that I had are simply, what do you call them? They're keychain hoops. The hoops that you use to make keychains. And so I just crocheted around them, and in the long run, I ended up just going single crochet back and forth twice, and on the last round add my beads. As I've shown you before that I add them, no? I pull up a loop, I use my smallest hook, that's about a 0.6 size, 0.6 millimeter crochet hook. I use that hook to pick up a bead and then pull the loop through the bead and then continue with my crocheting. And so I decided to add a pearl to that one because I love pearls. And that was actually purple pearls. And these were actually beads that were left over. These are, I believe they're called Miyuki beads. And they are number 6 size seed beads. And these are beads left over from my dress, the Mother of the Groom dress that I made last year. And so I bought tons of them. I had a lot left over, but really happy with the fact that I had left over because I really liked them a lot. And I want to get, not necessarily in this color, but I want to get different colors in smaller sizes so that I can actually do other things, things like put the beads on the inside or have a row with beads and then continue my crochet and another row of beads at the bottom. I'm sure that can be done too. But anyway, I just like crochet earrings. What can I tell you? Last but not least, this is a design of my own. For this design, I worked up a short, and I have to measure it because I wasn't too good at taking notes, but I will measure it. I know that I had 58 stitches on a Romanian cord. I've mentioned that before in this podcast because I used the Romanian cord to make like a belt to tie around the waist of a tunic, a beach tunic that I made for my elder daughter sometime last year or the year before. But so I've made a Romanian cord, 58 stitches. Then before I joined the two sides together, I went down the outside and attached the beads. Then I moved to the inside, attached the beads. And the last thing I did was join the two corners together. Now, when I joined it, I tried to remember to do a 5 chains, and then attach it again so I could have like that loop where I could hang my ear wire from. And I also like that one on. This is also an Aunt Lydia's number 10, and it is called the colorway Sage. I like the Miyuki, I like the Delica brand seed beads because they tend to be more uniform in size, and that just makes your piece look better. So those are the 3 earrings that I worked on and I made up. And I'm very happy with them, but I know I have 2 options here. I'm going to have to start gifting, or I'm going to have to stop making. I guess I got a 3rd option because I could, I guess, sell, but I don't want to. I don't want to. So at this moment, I don't want to. So I don't know, but I have a lot of material. I still have a lot of yarn that can be used. So, yeah. Well, moving on. That was the first 3 projects in my end of the line. Another project in the end of the line is one that I'm very happy to present to you. And it comes from this magazine called Crochet, Quick and Easy Crochet. This is the late autumn issue of Crochet magazine, on display until November 22nd. So you should still be able to get it. If you watched the Crochet Cakes podcast, you already saw that she presented this issue because in this issue, she has a publication. They have published a hat pattern of hers. Oops. And I'll share it with you just in case you haven't watched hers, or if you did watch it, I'll share it with you anyway. It's called the Black Diamond Hat, and there's her name. We were all proud family members to see her name in a magazine for the first time. It's the first publication that has come out, because she has submitted to other magazines that have since accepted, but they haven't been published for the public yet. So here it is. Black Diamond Hat. We purchased this while we were in New Hampshire, but I didn't have any thread there, any yarn there, and I didn't want to go and purchase because we were there for another reason. But I think I've shown it to you before. It's alpaca chunky. And it is a blend of alpaca fleece blended with silk and woolen spun for use in Britain. So it doesn't have any treatments like superwash or anything like that. And it's a purchase from Edinburgh Yarn Festival a while back. I purchased 3 skeins, one in this white, one in this pink, and one in gray. And don't know what I did with it. I had, over here. There we go. And this is what was left of the gray after I made that. So here it is. This is I'm going to call it the white diamond hat because I didn't have black and I didn't have the beautiful orange color that she has there. This, if you're interested in purchasing the yarn before you purchase the magazine, so when you purchase the magazine, you're all up and ready, is made with Barocco Ultra Alpaca Chunky Bulky. And it's number 5 because that is, I believe it's a Canadian. Barocco, I think, is a Canadian company, but don't take my word for it. They call it chunky. So this is called chunky, but this is from England. And I know that sometimes the terms that they use in the United States versus the terms they use in England to describe yarn gauge is not the same. I don't know. So I'm pretty sure this is is not the same as this chunky, not the same as this chunky. But I went for it. Another reason why I know it's not the same is that I didn't have enough yarn. This one has 131 yards in 100 grams. And this one has 90 meters is about 98 yards and 100 grams. So this is thicker. It was thicker. But the thing about it was I almost had enough to make it exactly as written in the patterns. I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I left off I started my decrease rows earlier because I thought I was going to run out of yarn. And now that I look at this, I think I might have had enough for that row that I didn't add. And it just would have used up all the yarn, which would have been a good thing. So there's my black diamond, or my white diamond hat. And so it's a simple design because it's in this magazine, Quick and Easy Crochet. But it's not difficult to work up. It is intermediate because, I guess because it uses this central single crochet or the knit stitch or the waistcoat stitch, whatever you want to call it. And for beginners, that is not always an easy stitch to use because it's not. But I think it's really nice. I know you want me to try it out, but it's boiling hot here, and so I'm not going to try it out. because I have never looked good in hats. And this is chunky alpaca. And I'll start sneezing, and I definitely cannot wear this hat. Maybe if it was super cold, I would really want to wear it. But I have to find somebody who lives in a very cold, like my son in New Hampshire or something like that, so that I can gift this, because I'm thinking about making a series of these hats as presents for Christmas. I'm thinking that maybe instead of chunky, I could use a worsted, try a worsted that has a similar weightage, and maybe I would just go up a size. By the way, I made this in the small size. I used the smallest size because of the fact that I knew that my yarn was a bit thicker. Then I figured that would add to the size, and so I didn't want it to be too big so that it wouldn't fit anybody. Well, anybody I know. So there it is. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely make. And while making this, I also have this is like a 2-in-1 finished project, because this pom-pom was also crocheted. It was crocheted using that faux fur yarn. I don't remember what company mine was from. But if you go to the Loopy Lamb, everything together, the Loopy Lamb on Instagram or the Loopy Lamb on internet, the Loopy Lamb, she has a tutorial for how to crochet using faux fur yarn and make a pom-pom. And there it is, my pom-pom. I left 2 very long ends on the pom-pom so that I could tie it inside the hat, just in case the person that gets it doesn't like pom-poms, or on this particular day didn't want to wear a pom-pom because he's going to wear like a hooded vest or something, and then the pom-pom gets in the way, so they could also take it off and just use it as a beanie. It looks okay without the pom-pom. I mean, the pom-pom isn't like hiding a mess or anything like that. So there, 2-in-1. I learned how to crochet. I've got a bunch of this. I have, because I bought this yarn to make a vest for my daughter, and then I always buy extra because I'm never sure if I'm going to have enough, and I had extra left over. So it's beautiful to touch. And forgive me for going on and on about this, but I just think that it's very pretty. So I'm going to set it up here on the side so you can continue to look at it. Can you? Maybe what I should do is move Sherlock over and put him here. What do you think? There you go. And that way you can observe him, or it, all the way through this podcast. But anyway, congratulations to my daughter Clarissa Bith of the Crochet Cakes podcast on that publication that came out. And pleased to tell you it was a very lovely make. I can also tell you, you know how when magazines copy the designer's instructions to their magazines, they make mistakes. What I wanted to say was the first line, there is a mistake in the first, in case you want to make this, or somebody is making this that you know who is a beginner crocheter. For somebody who's done hats before, it would be very easy to spot. So I'm sure somebody's going to get in touch with the magazine and tell them. But it says single crochet in the second chain from hook, chain 1, and turn. Well, of course you had a length of chains, and then it says single crochet in the second chain from hook and turn. No, baby. You have to single crochet in the second chain from hook and all the way to the end. So I guess, I don't know. They're always trying to save space in magazines, so they left that part out, just in case. Help for anybody in case. Now, one thing I will tell you about this is that I found it quite funny that this is called Quick and Easy Crochet. Do you see that? Anybody who's been crocheting for a while knows that that make is not quick. It might be easy. I mean, they might be just using rib stitch. It looks like they're using the rib stitch. Or they're using the central single crochet. But a garment that size, I mean, easy, but it takes forever. Easy, but it takes forever. And so there were a series of things here that I thought were beautiful. Here's a tessellation hooded scarf. I really, really, really like that. Does that mean I'm going to fall down the rabbit hole and make it? Well, I don't know. If I had somebody in the family who I knew would really like that, yes, I would make it. Because I think it's very usable. I mean, it's got pockets, it's got a scarf, and then it's got a hood. I mean, lovely. It's a lovely thing to design. And it is also very mathematical in its design. It's called the Tessellation Hooded Scarf. The Tessellation Hooded Scarf. And what a tessellation is, in that sense, the design that Clarissa has used for her hat is also a tessellation. It's simply a figure that you can place around, or let's say, you can place over a plane and fill up all the plane, repeating that pattern over and over again, and never have any holes. For example, a diamond would do that too. And so just the mathematical name of it makes me want to make it. What's it made with? It's made with Plymouth Encore medium worsted weight acrylic wool. Well, that's not that bad. It doesn't say here the percentage of wool and acrylic, but you could easily look that up. So, yeah, that just attracted me. And let's say, I just found it funny, the many blankets and coats. One coat, two coats, and the other coat that we know that's on the, here, three coats. The one that's on the cover page, 4 coats, and quick and easy, guys, quick and easy. Did you forget something there? Easy, okay, if the stitch is not hard to work, but quick, nah, no, I don't think so. And then they've got tons of, if you're into mosaic, they've got blankets and throws. Blankets and throws, never easy. I mean, they've also got pillows and you know, small projects. But there are tons of projects in here that are not quick and easy. So it's a beautiful magazine, but amigurumi is never quick and easy. But it's a lovely magazine. So if you would like to get your hands on that, it's up until November 22nd. And I'm sure Elizabeth would sign her page for you if you asked her to. And yeah, it's always cool to look into a magazine and say, hey, I know that person. And so I found that a lot of fun to make. I did find that one quick. I did find that one quick and easy. So, but yeah, intermediate, definitely, because, yeah, it's a little bit slow because of the central single crochet. It's never quick, but if you master the technique, then I made it up in a day, a couple hours. So the next thing that I also worked on that you have never seen before, well, you know, it's September, guys, already. It's September 23rd today. And what that means is that autumn has begun. Yesterday was the first day of autumn, was it not? Was it yesterday or the day before? And so when you get near autumn, everybody starts talking pumpkin. It's just incredible. I have not decorated my house, but I do have several pumpkins that I've made in the past that need to go up around this craft room somewhere. But what I did find was a pumpkin coaster, a crochet pumpkin coaster, also by the Loopy Lamb. And I know that you can purchase it for a small price in her store. But a lot of times she has like a duplicity. She has the free pattern on her blog, and then you can purchase for a small amount. If you don't like ads, if you don't like running into ads, you can pay it and purchase it and get it for a small price. I don't know. I did purchase this one. Several reasons, because it is, maybe I can get it for you here. It is a practice session with, it is a practice session with intarsia crochet or crochet color work, however you would like to call it. And that's always good because it's become like an in thing to work with color work in crochet. I am going to look up, I need to look down in order to do this. The pattern, Halloween Pumpkin Crochet Coaster, is the official name. For some reason, Kindle doesn't want to open it today. And here it is. It's on the easy level list. And it is worked up with worsted weight cotton. I believe she used knit picks. And it just so happened that I had a bunch of that yarn that I had purchased for another project that I never did. And so I had two of the colors. I had the black and the white. I didn't have the orange, but I did have like a gold color. And so I went to work on practicing it because in this, there are several suggestions for working with crochet colorwork in Intarsia crochet. I have my doubts always on those terms because I know that in one of them you tend not to carry your yarn on the back, and on the other one you carry all the colors through, which means that you're going to use up more yarn because even if you just have one stitch to do with that color, you color it all the way through. Of course, there are other methods. Other people use the cut and tie method, where every time you have a change in color, you attach it to the yarn, the current yarn color, and then when you reach the end of that participation of that color in your piece, and on that row, you then cut it and tie it at the back. And so that is time consuming. I have not tried that one, sincerely, but there are suggestions for working on the front only instead of working in the round so that you don't get the difference, because single crochet on the front and single crochet in the back are not identical and they lean in different directions. And so to avoid those differences, a lot of people prefer working the intarsia or the crochet color work in the round. Also, if you're using, for example, the V-stitch, the central single crochet stitch or waistcoat stitch or whatever you want to call it, the knit stitch, then that one works better if you work in the round, because although I've seen it worked back and forth, it is slow. It is slower than working in the round because you really have to be careful of where your stitch is coming out. And when you work in the round, not so much. You don't worry so much about where the stitch is coming out at the back because it's the back of your work. She uses a method of working in the back loop only, which is another method suggested for hiding your yarn. And I had never done, out of all of the color work that I have worked, which isn't a lot, I accept, but I have done at least four pieces using color work, and I've never used back loop only. And my experience was that I think that it does a better job of hiding the color behind it than just the single crochet, the normal single crochet. And so that was a discovery for me. And I had actually suggested working only on the front and leaving your ends to use as tassels in one project that I was designing. And so yes, this is my finished product. There you go. So the pattern includes the written instructions, so row 1 do this, row 2 do that, and also a chart. And so it's good to have the chart because you can follow the instructions, look at your work, and look at the chart and see if something got messed up. Because it is quite simple for something to get messed up. Okay, I messed up real at the beginning because you were supposed to have a certain amount of stitches here, because this is the only row that you do your chains and then you work back without clipping, without cutting at the end. But I didn't read carefully enough, and so I worked my chains, cut my yarn, started again at the other side, and worked my single crochets in the back loop only. And so I had one extra stitch than the pattern recommended. But that was okay. I figured, oh, well, so then you're going to see that I have more left over on one side than on the other. Well, I have one more left over on one side and the other, but I can live with that. And I don't think it's, it's obvious to me because I did it, but it's okay. But then somewhere along the line, I lost a stitch. So I ended up okay. And I don't know where, because my rows all worked out, but I did lose a stitch. In the chart that she includes, she uses this like a brown color for the stem. But in the instructions, she does not tell you to change to a brown. She doesn't even include that color in the material, I believe. No, in the material, she only mentions 3 colors. She uses white, black, and clementine is the orange that she uses. Mine is, I don't know what it is. When I purchased it, I was looking for something that looked a little bit more like gold. And this was the closest color that they had to gold. It's still like a yellow, but it's not a bright yellow. It's like, I don't know. In the description box, I could put the name of that if you wanted to. I also added another row here to the stem because I wanted my stem to look longer than the way she had it in her pattern. Let me see if you can see here the way her pattern has a very small stem, and I just left mine a little longer. But I'm very happy with that. I worked it up in a day, so that's like maybe, well, it did take me maybe 4 hours because I worked steady, straightforward. I don't know if you would take it. It's supposed to be, let's see. Nope. I didn't have gauge. I have a tight gauge. So mine is bigger than hers. I got more stitches in than she has. But I still think it looks lovely. I mean, you could use it as a coaster. I'm pretty sure you could use it as a coaster. So now I'm thinking about, oh, I need a set of these because I want to gift them. And so I know that she has come out with another one. She came out with, I think it's a ghost, but I don't want that one so much. I am thinking about making, maybe I'll make the pumpkin, but I'll change the face. Like here he's smiling. I think maybe if these 2 stitches here, you brought them down, it wouldn't smile anymore, and that is not a difficult change to make. Also, I think you could probably just eliminate the face, and it would even be easier because you don't have to do so many, change your yarn so much times, and you could just leave it without a face. But yeah, I think, and you know that there are many different colors of pumpkins out there, so you could just go your own way with the colors that you use. Maybe I wouldn't use the white for the background because things get dirty around here. I don't know at your house, but my things get dirty. And then, yeah, maybe it could be a green pumpkin or a purple pumpkin. I've seen a lot of those out there lately, or a white pumpkin on a orange background. You could switch the colors around, because most definitely you can get more than one of these coasters out of a ball of Knit Picks cotton. You can get many coasters out of a ball of Knit Picks. I'll show you the back. It's definitely a back. I mean, you can definitely see a lot more of the yarn here. Let's see. You can see where I forgot to pick up all my yarns and encapsulate that part. And here, for this little part that was the brown, I did use the, what did I tell you it was called? I don't know. The cut method, where you cut off the yarn. You knot it and then you cut it off very small. I figure it's a coaster, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each of those knots so that they won't come out. But yeah, no ends then to weave in, because all of your ends here are used as tassels. So you have no ends to weave in. I mean, if this, you have an option. You can carry the brown all the way through, which I didn't want to do, because at this point down here, then I would be carrying 4 yarns. And this is not Knit Picks. This is, I think it's a DMC cotton, and it is thicker. It's more what they call Aran than our worsted. So that's why I didn't want to carry it there. Up here at the top, you can see that I did carry it once I got past this orange, so that I could use black, white, and the brown. Well, then I used the color all the way through. Okay, and I am very happy with it. Happy autumn to all of you, and I hope that, well, all of you in the northern hemisphere, obviously. In the southern hemisphere, something else is going on right now. And there are people that really enjoy the summer so much that don't want to say goodbye to it, and other people that fall is their favorite season, and other people do not like the fall because it is the warning that the cold winter is coming again sometime soon. So to each his own, guys, to each his own. I am very happy to. And I wish I had bought a thumbtack so that I could put that up there for you while we finish this podcast, but I haven't, so I'll lay it down here. Okay, I always think that there's not a lot to talk about, and then I end up going way past the amount of time that I wanted to spend talking to you guys. So what do I have left? I wanted to mention to you guys and remind you that this year goes from September the 15th to October the 15th. Let's get my date straight here, and that's every year. So the day doesn't change, the date doesn't change. And the purpose behind it is to honor the contributions of the Hispanic culture, both Latinos and Hispanics, right? Because there is a difference. Hispanic is based on language. And so if you were born in or have ancestors that are from a country that whose first language is Spanish, then you are known as Hispanic. Okay, this is a trait that we inherit from Spain. So let's say that Spain is the mother of Hispanic countries. And then Latino is based on geography. You are a Latino if you live in a Latin American country. Well, if you live or are a descendant from family members that lived in a Latin American country. So there's some overlapping here. There are countries that are both Hispanic and Latin American, Puerto Rico, for example. And there are countries that are one or the other. For example, Spain, as we said, is Hispanic, but not Latin American. And on the other side, Brazil is Latin American, but not Hispanic, as they speak Portuguese. So, in commemoration of this, the Latin American month, you guys know, if you've been here for a while, that last year I started with my garita design. the design of one of the structures that are on the castles that are in the capital city of San Juan. And it is used as a lookout house, a window where a guard can be posted to look out and watch for vessels approaching across the ocean. And so there are famous stories behind La Garita in our structures, in our castles that are in San Juan, and I welcome you to read about them. There are some very entertaining legends associated with these structures. And so ever since last year, as part of Hispanic Heritage Month, I was wanting to recreate a photo of La Garita in C2C crochet. And I failed. I failed terribly last year. I worked on it, and maybe by December, I might have been halfway through it. And then I have failed again this year to pick it up and work on it continuously. I have had it out for a while, and I have worked on it a day here, a row here, a row there, but I haven't worked on it continuously. So it is my commitment before my viewership on this channel that I want to finish that before October the 15th. Okay? So I'll just share it with you so you'll see where I'm at, and to complete that commitment. This is where I'm at, and this is where I want to be later on. So I'll put up a picture here of what La Garita. Well, there isn't really a lot to appreciate anyway, but there's more than what I had the last time. So I believe the last time I was about here. On my sky, halfway through the sky, but not finished. So I'm not finished yet. The sky goes through all this. Because remember that C2C, the diagonal C2C works diagonally across the... But you can see now all of my colors. There is some yellow, a goldish color, against the wall of the garita, which the idea is the sun hitting against the garita. And then the gray is the garita structure. The black that you're seeing are small windows that are located on the garita. And then the garita stretches up to the sky. And the sky in Puerto Rico can normally have more than one color. So here is the second color. Now, I've reached a point where I have reached one corner at the top and the corner at the bottom. So now this is going to get smaller a bit quicker. And then once maybe I'm halfway through those two lines, then I'll be able to work on more than one row a day and get excited about it and want to finish it. But for now, I'm still meh. Because I made it too big. I made the original design too big, and so this is more like a blanket. It's more like a throw than a wall art that I intended it to be. It is I think it's about twice as big as my coquille wall art, if you'll remember that one. So yeah, not coming out as planned. I like the fabric that's coming out. It's just that it's taking a long time. But there's my commitment with my viewership of this channel. And if you have nothing else to say to me or comment to me about this podcast, please comment cheering me on to finish this project once and for all, even though it has taken me more than a year. If you have a chance during these days that are coming up and you would like to learn something about the Hispanic culture or the Latin culture, then I invite you. There are many, many, many Latinx makers online, and they sell patterns, they design, they have YouTube channels. If you follow nobody else, well, Crochet Cakes, my daughter, is also Puerto Rican, and she has many tutorials and free patterns on her website. Let's say you go give her some love during this National Hispanic Culture Month. And if that's not up your alley, then you can also go to mindandmusecrafts.com. That's my blog, and on my blog I also have a section of free patterns for you to try. And so that's my invitation for you this month. Let's move on to On My Radar is my last section. I won't extend too long about that. I'll leave what I was going to talk about there for our next podcast. But I just have two things that I want to mention. Number one, I'll remind you that I was on a trip to New Hampshire because my grandson was born prematurely. He's actually called a micro-preemie because he was born at 26 weeks. Before 30 weeks, they are called micro-preemies because their chances of survival are not as good, not 100%, let's say. He's got a very good chance of survival, and up to now, he is coming along. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, and he's suffered the ailments that many of these children suffer while they are in these long stays in the NICU section of the hospital. But he's coming along, and he's just turned 1 month. He's 1 month this Thursday. I mean, today is Thursday. Yesterday, Wednesday, the 22nd, he turned 1 month old, and so we're proud of him for struggling and for trying very hard to get off that incubator and to breathe on his own. He still needs a little bit of help every now and then. And he needs to gain weight. That is one of the most important things. He needs to gain weight. He is beginning to suck. So there'll be some point where he'll be able to try breastfeeding. And we'll see how that goes. And, well, thank you to all of you that have written your messages and contacted either myself or Clarissa and cheering us on and giving us, sharing with us all of your personal experiences with these types of babies and letting us know that he's got a great chance of growing into a strong young boy. And that's what our hopes are. But anyway, but we did do some thrifting. And in some of our thrifting, I did personally find a couple of interesting things. One thing that I found was a book. We always ended up in the book sections. I found a book for my son that I looked at the cover, and the title is From Me to You. And this book is by, let's see if I can get a picture here. The setting is an Italian village. From Me to You. In case you can't see the author there, the author is Anthony Bertini, and the illustrator is Jonathan Bentley. Because it is, as all children's books are, it's the illustrations are part of the story. So I looked at it, and I saw immediately a father, a grandfather, and a son or a grandson. And so I immediately started to look through the book, and From Me to You is a story, as I guessed, right, as I hypothesized by looking at it. It is a story about fatherhood. And in this book, a father observes his son as they go make a trip to town on their daily actions, right? And he begins by observing, and then he ends up giving him fatherly advice. And so a quick look through the book, immediately told me, I want this. And some of y'all, I found the book on YouTube. I didn't find the book, but I found a review of the book on YouTube. And the review is in such detail that they actually go through the pages of the book. And if you change the speed on your YouTube channel to slow, you can almost read the whole book. There are some pages left out, but you can get a very good idea of what the book is about in case you would like to gift this book to a father that you know. And one of my favorite, I'll share with you some of my favorite pages as shown in this review. One that isn't shown, but it was just, I opened the book, that was the page that I read, And that was the page that said, you're going to buy this. And one of my favorite lines is, the father tells the child, you were born perfect, and it's up to you to stay that way. So I thought that was a line to live by. I thought that was a line that my son should repeat to this child every single day of his life. And so I obviously purchased the book. But I thought it was a fabulous purchase, hardcover, perfect conditions, $1. So it is now in my son's home, and I hope, it is my desire, that he would share this book with his son many times while his son is growing up. So, yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I can't help it if this was long. It was. And I hope to see you soon. I hope you'll come back during the next episode where hopefully I'll be able to share with you a completed garita. I'll be able to share with you socks for Socktober. And I will be able to share with you some other makes that are on my radar. So thank you for stopping by and joining me. Let's get this podcast on the YouTube recommendation list for anybody out there who likes crafting as much as we all do. And you can help me do that. So thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for pressing that bell so that you're notified when I upload new episodes to this channel. And thank you for hitting that share so that others can stop by and we can become friends as they can become part of this community of viewers. So until we see each other again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep crafting, guys. I'll see you soon.